Hi everyone, welcome back to Techie Druid. In today's video, I'll show you step by step how to install Windows 10 in VirtualBox on a Windows 11 PC. This is one of the easiest and the safest way to run Windows 10 without replacing your main operating system. You can use it to try out older software, test new programs, or just explore Windows 10 freely without affecting your real computer at all. By the end of this video, you'll have a fully working Windows 10 virtual machine running right inside your Windows 11 PC, complete with internet access, sound, graphics, and everything else working just like a real computer. So if you are ready, grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and follow along carefully. Let's get started. Before we begin the installation, let's quickly prepare your computer to make sure VirtualBox runs smoothly. First, enable virtualization in your BIOS or UEFI settings. On Intel systems, this option is called Intel Virtualization Technology or Intel VTX, and on AMD systems, it's called SVM mode. Make sure this feature is turned on. Without it, VirtualBox won't be able to create 64-bit virtual machines. Second, turn off Hyper-V. VirtualBox and Hyper-V don't work well together. If Hyper-V is enabled, your virtual machines will run extremely slow and sometimes won't start at all. To disable it, open Windows Features. On the Windows Features page, uncheck all the options related to Hyper-V, Virtual Machine Platform, Windows Hypervisor Platform, Windows Sandbox, and Windows Subsystem for Linux. Click OK and restart your computer. Now, disable core isolation or memory integrity, as it can interfere with VirtualBox's hardware acceleration. To do this, open Windows Security. Go to Device Security. Click Core Isolation Details. Here, simply turn memory integrity off. After disabling it, restart your PC. Fourth, check for other virtualization software. If you use other virtualization tools like WSL2, Docker Desktop, or the Android emulator, make sure they aren't running in the background when you are using VirtualBox. You can keep them installed, but only one virtualization platform should be active at a time. Once you have completed these steps, your host computer is fully ready. Now, let's download the official Windows 10 ISO directly from Microsoft. Open your browser and go to Microsoft's official Windows 10 download page. Scroll down slightly and click on Download Now. This will download the Media Creation tool. Once it's downloaded, open the Media Creation tool. Accept the license agreement. On the next screen, select Create Installation Media, USB flash drive, DVD or ISO file for another PC and click Next. If you want to customize your language or edition, uncheck Use the recommended option for this PC. Then make sure the architecture is set to 64-bit because VirtualBox only supports 64-bit operating systems efficiently. Select ISO file as the output option. Then choose where to save it. For example, I'll save it in my Downloads folder. The tool will now start downloading the latest version of Windows 10. Depending on your internet speed, the process can take some time. Once the download finishes, you'll have a file named windows10.iso. This is the installation image we'll be using in the next step. Now, let's install VirtualBox. Open your browser and go to virtualbox.org. Click on Downloads tab. You will see multiple downloads options. Choose Windows Hosts to download the installer for Windows 10 or Windows 11. This will download the latest VirtualBox setup file. As of 2025, that's VirtualBox version 7. Once the installer finishes downloading, open it and go through the setup wizard. Click Next on each step. You can safely keep all the default options. There's no need to change any installation paths or settings. Once the installation completes, click Finish to launch VirtualBox. You'll now see the VirtualBox Manager window. This is where you can create, configure, and manage all your virtual machines. Now, let's create our Windows 10 virtual machine. In the VirtualBox Manager window, click on New button at the top. In the name field, type Windows 10. Leave the machine folder as default, or if you prefer, you can choose another drive if you want to store your virtual machine somewhere else. Next, click the ISO image drop-down. Choose Other, and browse to select Windows 10.iso file that we downloaded earlier. Once you select it, VirtualBox will automatically detect the operating system as Microsoft Windows and the version as Windows 10 64-bit. Below that, you can see an option called Proceed with Unattended Installations. Make sure you keep this option unchecked. This is very important. If you keep it enabled, VirtualBox will try to install Windows automatically by filling in details like the product key, user account, and region settings on its own. But often, this process fails and shows errors, especially because VirtualBox can't always handle the product key properly. To avoid installation failures or confusing error messages, it's best to uncheck Unattended Installation and go through the Windows setup manually yourself. Click Next. Now, it's time to allocate system resources for your virtual machine. Under base memory, assign around 4GB to 8GB of RAM, depending on how much memory your computer has. I'll select 8GB, but even 4GB works fine if your system is limited. Next, adjust the number of CPUs. For example, if your host system has, say, 8 cores, allocating around 4 cores gives excellent performance. Just make sure you don't push the slider too far into the red zone. This means you're giving the VM too much power, which can slow down your host computer. For the virtual hard disk, set the size to 50GB. That's enough for the operating system and a few applications. Finally, keep the Use EFI option unchecked. We don't need it for Windows 10. Your Windows 10 virtual machine is now created. But before we start the installation, let's make a few quick tweaks to improve performance and compatibility. Select your Windows 10 VM in VirtualBox and click on Settings. First, switch from Basic Mode to Expert Mode. This gives you access to all the advanced options in one place. Open the General tab, then go to the Features section. Here, set both the Shared Clipboard and Drag and Drop to bidirectional. This allows you to easily copy text and transfer files between your host computer and the virtual machine in both directions. Next, move to the System section. Under the Processor tab, enable the option called PAE or NX. This improves both compatibility and security inside the Windows 10 VM, especially for modern software that relies on advanced memory protection features. Below that, you'll see the option for Nested VTX or AMDV. This feature is only needed if you plan to run another virtual machine inside your Windows 10 VM. For example, if you want to install Android emulator or another virtualization tool inside it. For most users, you can leave this unchecked. Now switch to the Acceleration tab. Set the Para Virtualization interface to Hyper-V. This helps Windows 10 perform more efficiently inside VirtualBox. Also, make sure that hardware virtualization and nested paging are both enabled. Next, click on Display. Increase the video memory all the way up to 128 MB for smoother graphics and better display performance. Keep the graphics controller set to VBox SVGA, which is the most compatible option for Windows 10. And leave 3D acceleration unchecked for now. We'll enable it later after installing the guest addition drivers. Now go to Storage. Make sure both the virtual hard disk and the Windows 10 ISO are attached under the same controller, and that the controller type is set to AHCI. This ensures faster read and write performance during installation. Move on to Audio. Ensure that Enable Audio is turned on and the computer controller is set to Intel HD Audio. That's the most stable option for Windows 10 virtual machines. Next, open Network. Make sure that Enable Network Adapter is checked and the Attached to settings is set to NAT. Also, make sure Cable Connected is checked. With this setup, your virtual machine connects to the internet through your host PC's network connection using your host's IP address. If you want your virtual machine to get its own unique IP address directly from your router, so it behaves like a separate device on your network, then change the Attached to option to Bridged Adapter. Now, click on USB. Enable the USB controller and select USB 3.0 XHCI for maximum compatibility and speed with modern flash drives or external devices. Finally, go to Shared Folders. This is one of the most useful features in VirtualBox. It allows you to access specific folders from your host computer directly inside the virtual machine. To add one, click the small folder icon on the right. Choose Other and browse to select any folder you would like to share. Once selected, check Auto Mount so it appears automatically every time the VM starts. You can also check Make Global, which ensures that the folder remains permanently available across different VMs. Once all the changes are done, click OK to save your settings. Now your virtual machine is fully optimized and ready for installation. So let's start the installation. A new window will open. That's your virtual computer. It behaves just like a real PC, but it's running entirely inside your main system. After a few seconds, the window setup should appear. Here, choose your language, time and currency format, and keyboard input method. Click Install now to begin the installation. You will then be asked to enter a product key. If you already have a valid Windows 10 license, you can enter it here. But if you don't, click I don't have a product key. Windows will still install normally and you can activate it later if you wish. Next, select the edition of Windows you want to install. I'm gonna choose Windows 10 Pro because it includes more advanced options and customization features compared to the Home edition. Accept the license terms, then click Next again. When you are asked about the installation type, choose Custom, Install Windows Only, Advanced. You will now see the disk selection screen. Select Drive 0 Unallocated Space. This is the 50 GB virtual drive we created earlier. Windows will now start copying and installing files inside the virtual system. This part usually takes several minutes depending on your system speed. During this process, the VM will restart a few times. That's completely normal, so just let it continue. Once the installation is complete, Windows will boot into the setup phase, where you will configure your region, keyboard layout, and user preferences. Select Personal Use. Now, Windows will ask you to sign in with a Microsoft account. If you would prefer a local account, click on Offline Account. Then select Limited Experience. Enter your username. Then enter a password for the account. You can also leave it blank if you prefer no password. If you do set a password, Windows will ask you to choose 3 security questions. These help recover your account if you forget your password later. After that, you will be prompted with some privacy settings. You can review and toggle them however you like. For testing purposes, you can just leave everything as default and click Next. Windows will now take a few minutes to finalize the setup and prepare your desktop. Once it's done, you will be greeted with the Windows 10 desktop running completely inside the VirtualBox. So congratulations, you have successfully installed Windows 10 in VirtualBox. Now, let's improve its performance and make it feel much more seamless by installing VirtualBox Guest Editions. Guest Editions is a small package of drivers and tools that make your virtual machine run smoother, enable full screen mode, improve graphics, and allow features like file sharing and better mouse control. To install it, click on Devices from the top menu and then select Insert Guest Edition CD image. You'll see a new CD driver appear inside your Windows 10 virtual machine. Open the drive. Inside, double-click the file named VBoxWindowsEditions.exe. Click Yes to continue. Then just go through the installation wizard. It will automatically install all the required drivers for display, mouse, keyboard, and system integration. Once the installation finishes, it will ask you to restart the virtual machine. Click Finish to reboot your Windows 10 VM. Once the window starts again, you can right-click the Guest Edition CD drive and select Eject. That will safely remove the ISO. You can now switch to full screen mode and Windows 10 will automatically adjust its resolution to fit your display. You can also resize the window freely and the system will scale perfectly without any black borders. At this point, you can also copy and paste text between your host system and the virtual machine, thanks to the shared clipboard feature we enabled earlier. You can also use the drag and drop function for transferring files. If the drag and drop function doesn't work as expected, don't worry. You can instead use the shared folder we set up earlier to transfer files between the two systems. Simply place any file inside that shared folder on your host PC and it will appear automatically inside your Windows 10 VM. Now, let's also set up the USB access. When you plug a USB flash drive or an external hard drive into your computer, it will first appear on your host system by default. If you want to access it inside your virtual system, click on Devices from the top menu bar. Hover over USB and click on the name of the USB drive from the list. VirtualBox will safely disconnect it from your host and attach it to your Windows 10 VM automatically. Now that Guest Editions is installed and everything is working smoothly, let's make your virtual machine even better by enabling 3D acceleration. 3D acceleration allows VirtualBox to use your computer's GPU for rendering graphics inside the virtual machine. This gives you smoother animations, faster Windows transitions, and better overall performance, especially when you switch to full screen mode. First, shut down your Windows 10 virtual machine completely. Once it's powered off, go back to VirtualBox Manager, select your Windows 10 VM and click Settings. Go to the Display section. Here, check the box that says 3D acceleration. After enabling it, you'll notice that the video memory slider can now be increased up to 256 MB, whereas before it was limited to 128 MB. Once that's done, click OK to save the changes. Now, let's say you originally created a virtual hard disk with 50 GB, but after installing Windows and a few applications, you are running out of space. Don't worry, you don't need to reinstall Windows or create a new virtual machine. You can easily increase the virtual hard disk size in VirtualBox using just one command. First, make sure your virtual machine is completely powered off. Then open Command Prompt as administrator. Next, navigate to the folder where VirtualBox is installed. Now type the following command. Just make sure to replace the file path with your own virtual disk path. Here, 102400 represents the new size in megabytes, which equals 100 GB. You can set any value you want here, depending on how much storage you need. Once you press enter, VirtualBox will instantly expand the disk size. Now, close the VirtualBox settings and reopen the storage section. You can see my disk size has been increased to 100 GB. After that, start your Windows 10 virtual machine. Open Disk Management from the Start menu. You'll see the extra space as unallocated. When you try to extend the C drive inside Disk Management, you'll notice that the option is grayed out. And that's because there's a small recovery partition sitting between your C drive and the unallocated space. Windows can only extend a drive if free space is directly next to it. To fix this, we'll use a free tool called Mini Tool Partition Wizard. You can download and install it directly inside your Windows 10 virtual machine. I'll leave the link in the video description. Once the Mini Tool Partition Wizard is open, you will see your disk layout exactly like in Disk Management. Simply right-click on the small recovery partition and choose Move or Resize. Then drag it all the way to the right so the unallocated space appears right next to your C drive. Click OK. Then right-click on the C drive and choose the Extend option and drag the slider to use all the available unallocated space. Click OK again. And finally, click Apply to confirm the changes. Now, when you open File Explorer, your C drive will show the full 100 GB capacity ready for you to use. And that's it. You have now successfully installed and set up Windows 10 in VirtualBox on your Windows 11 PC. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Techie Druid for more step-by-step tech tutorials like this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.